Welcome to the Week in Politics with Michelle Grattan. I'm Nick Klomp, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor here at the University of Canberra. Hi Michelle.
Hello Nick.
The Liberal Party last night rejected Prime Minister Scott Morrison's preference to endorse a female candidate for the Wentworth by-election, instead selecting former Ambassador to Israel, Dave Sharma. How much is this a blow to Scott Morrison?
Well, firstly, I should say that I think that Dave Sharma, on all accounts, is a very good candidate. But in the circumstances, there was a feeling that a woman candidate would be better for the seat. And although Scott Morrison didn't say that publicly, he was making that known privately. So it is a rebuff to him from this electorate. I think it's the party members in Wentworth saying we're not happy with what's happened to our MP, to Malcolm Turnbull, and we're going to not be dictated to, lent on by anyone. We're going to make our own choice. And of course Dave Sharma is in fact someone from outside the electorate, so it was a very deliberate endorsement of going their own way.
Within the Liberal Party, threats to name those who allegedly bullied and harassed women MPs during the leadership spill haven't seemed to have eventuated. Morrison said that this will all be dealt with internally, but have the women who have been complaining effectively been taken for a ride?
I guess we'll see in the long run whether any change comes about in the party. Certainly Scott Morrison was very anxious to head off any public naming, and he's promised to work with the women, to work with the party whips. I gather there have now been some complaints about behaviour to the party whips. I think though the question of more female representation in the parliamentary ranks is going to be something that's not necessarily going to happen in any major way. A few women have called for quotas, as the ALP has, but that's really being just pushed away. So the women, I think, still will have an uphill fight to get a better deal.
Malcolm Turnbull, meanwhile, has intervened from New York, calling for Peter Dutton to be referred to the High Court over whether he is ineligible to sit in Parliament because of what could be a breach of Section 44. To what extent is the former Prime Minister creating mischief, or does he have a substantive point?
I think both. Certainly he's creating mischief. This is a very strong intervention, and he hasn't tried to hide it. He sent a tweet explaining why he was talking to Morrison and colleagues about the need to refer Peter Dutton's case to the court. But I think also there is a substantive question there to be answered. Peter Dutton has a pecuniary interest through a trust in some childcare centres. This might put him in breach of Section 44. Now this is a different part of Section 44 than the citizenship part that we've heard such a lot about and that caught so many members, but nevertheless there is a question to be resolved here, and there is some unease, I think, within Liberal ranks, even beyond Malcolm Turnbull, about Peter Dutton's situation. Now, Julie Bishop, who's also, like Malcolm Turnbull, pretty unhappy at the moment about how things have gone, was pretty coy when she was asked her opinion on this and how she would vote if it came to a vote. She left it up in the air. I'd be very surprised if she crossed the floor, but there have been mutterings that some people could cross the floor. I think what they're doing is signalling to the Prime Minister that really the government should refer Peter Dutton.
It wouldn't take many to cross the floor, would it? Because it was very close at the last...
That's right, and it depends of course on how the crossbenchers go, but we interviewed a couple of crossbenchers for a podcast this week, Cathy McGowan, Rebecca Sharkey. Both said Peter Dutton should be referred to the High Court.
Does Peter Dutton continue to be in trouble over ministerial discretion as well, or is that matter blown over?
Well, he's got this dispute with the former Commissioner of the Border Force, but I think because some of his claims have been discredited, that really that is probably running out of steam. It's still an irritant for Peter Dutton. I think it's messing with his mind, but it doesn't at the moment have quite the force of the constitutional doubts.
So this is the end of the first parliamentary week for Prime Minister Scott Morrison. How has it gone in general?
I think it's not been a happy first week. There have been these difficulties we've talked about. Even at the trivial level, he posted a video last night of the MPs raising their hands in Parliament in response to some rhetorical questions he had posed. Turned out that the song that was backing up the video was a very inappropriate one. He was forced to take that down. So, tiny thing, but symbolised that everything is really not going according to plan, or according to hopes anyway.
Michelle, thank you again.
Thanks a lot, Nick.